Hey guys, welcome to I believe our 6th edition of Both Sides of the Ball. I am your co-host Joe, and I have by side myself
Devore. What's up, y'all? Let's get right into it. We had a lot of stuff happening, Joe. We had the NBA draft. We had a couple players deciding to opt out. You have a preference? You want to start with the draft, or should we maybe go to what I would say is a fact five?
We go for the fact five, the big hitter. What was it, last Saturday? Anthony Davis was traded to my Los Angeles Lakers. How about that?
Yeah, I bet you're rejoicing, celebrating a little bit.
Stoked.
Absolutely. I think the fact of the matter that what made this all happen together was the fact that the Pelicans had the number 1 draft pick, winning the lottery, and then on top of that, the Lakers, they had the 4th draft pick, which they clearly didn't want. They wanted to maybe build around a superstar. So.
Yeah, had we not got that 4th pick, I personally don't believe that we would have ever completed this Anthony Davis trade. I feel like we would have been really stuck at an 11 or 12 spot. And we would have got a really good college player, and probably had to have developed him, but in the end...
LeBron's in a win now mentality.
Exactly, and that's just the luck of the draw. We got very lucky, very, very lucky with this.
Let me, I have some notes I typed up. I'm going to read basically kind of what transpired with that number 4 pick in the draft here.
Yep.
So basically, the Lakers sent the number 4 pick in the 2019 draft, a top 8 protected 2021 first round pick, which becomes unprotected in 2022, first round swap rights in 2023, and the 2024 first round pick, which New Orleans can defer until 2025. So, we all already know the picks basically. They're super important, especially first rounders. You're getting pretty much the top college prospects out here. I think that, basically going all the way out, 5-6 years the way that they did, it is just it's a testament to how great Anthony Davis is. He's a superstar. He's only 26 years old, and LeBron's not getting any younger. So
yeah, I believe this trade definitely set the I wouldn't say set the Lakers back necessarily for the team right now, that it set them back for future picks, but this definitely set up the Pelicans for the future, and they can really build around now Brandon Ingram, Lonzo. They give more playmakers to Drew Holiday, who's going to take some pressure off him, and you essentially get the best player in the draft in Zion Williamson, and then you draft a stud center like Jackson Hayes. I think they're really built for the future, and they could really turn some heads next year. They could possibly sneak in the 8th seed. I literally think they could get the 8th seed.
Yeah, and to add just a little caveat to that, Jackson Hayes wasn't actually the number 4 pick. What New Orleans did with that pick was they actually traded it to the Atlanta Hawks, which had 3 first-round picks. Mm-hmm. So they basically picked up number 8, 17, and then 35 in the 2nd round.
Correct.
And then to basically another guy, this is kind of a maybe like under the table move is what I'd call it. Mm-hmm. But they send Solomon Hill and pick number 57 and a future 2nd round draft pick to the Hawks, which basically enables them to clear out cap space.
Correct.
Right. So basically in this draft, what happened last night, the players that they got Zion Williamson at number 1, they got Jackson Hayes at number 8, Nickeil Alexander-Walker at 17, who's a great point guard, by the way, don't sleep on him, and then Marcos Lusada Silva, small forward from Brazil, at number 35. So, if you were to give them a grade, how would you say that they performed on draft night, Joe?
I definitely say A-. A-. I think, there's no perfect draft, essentially. You got the best player, Zion Williamson. You got a stud center to build around, which is what they've kind of sorely lacked. Not necessarily because of Anthony Davis, but they've had Jahlil Okafor, they've had Julius Randle, but that isn't a true center position. They haven't had one since, I believe, Omar Sheik, way a long time ago.
Yeah, and
that was a long time. He was okay, but
he wasn't great either.
He did what he had to do. He was a 13-8, 13-7 guy. So, like I said, you get a guy for the future that you build around, and the core, they're all under 25 years old. This is fantastic.
Did Okafor play for him? Yeah.
Jahlil Okafor?
No. Emeka Okafor. I think that might honestly be maybe the.
He played for the
center.
Bobcats.
I mean, that just tells you how long the Pelicans have gone without a center, though. That's, I think that, Jackson Hayes, definitely very athletic. Now, Zion Williamson, he's kind of a dark horse in the sense that I don't know whether or not he's actually going to be playing the small forward position or if he's going to be playing the power forward position. But if he does play the power forward at 6'8", 285, what you're looking at is you're going to have one of the most dynamic front courts. Basically, it's just going to be Lob City.
Him and Ingram will flip-flop depending on the roster and depending on what team they face. And then you can also slide in there, Jackson Hayes is 6'10"?
Yeah.
And depending on what they do for draft, if they acquire someone else through free agency, they could maybe slot, if they re-sign Julius Randle, they could really slot Jackson Hayes at the 4 or Julius Randle put the 5. There's so many options, and this team is so dynamic that they can flip-flop and still be fine.
Yeah. I mean, so I'm just kind of looking at my draft notes here, just to add one little thing on Jackson Hayes there. He's a center out of Texas, averaged 10 points a game, 5 rebounds, 0.3 assists. He's not looking to pass. But the crazy stat that I had on him was that he shoots 72.8% from field goal percentage.
Yep.
And I think that's just because, he's a dominant player. He's going to be looking to dunk the ball as much as he can.
Yep, those stats are very reminiscent of DeAndre Jordan.
Yes.
A lot of those guys, Clint Capella, a lot of those guys who are essentially rim runners.
Yep.
They clean up a lot of the balls that, the missed shots and whatnot. So I think, like I said, I think they got a steal, and I think A- is a fair grade. And to touch on that Texas, they've been pretty prevalent last few years. I think the last 4 or 5 years they've had 3 power forwards / centers drafted. They had Miles Turner in 15 to the Pacers, and then 18 they've had 17 they had Mo Bamba to the Magic, and then now 2019 they got Jackson Hayes. So I mean something's cooking down in the water in Texas, and everything's bigger in Texas, right?
I think it's honestly just because of Kevin Durant playing there. He kind of made it popular again. I would say that's the guy. That's where it all started. But
and LaMarcus Aldridge.
Yeah.
Yep.
Way back when. Yeah. You actually happen to have the depth chart there. I don't know whether or not you want to maybe read out what New Orleans has going in for next season or what it would look like.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's current there, but.
Yeah, so what we got here, depth chart-wise, at the starting lineup, we got Lonzo Ball, Drew Holiday, Brandon Ingram, Zion Williamson, and Jahlil Okafor. Now, that's kind of what I thought. I figured they would start Jahlil Okafor. Reports have been saying that he has revamped his body. They say he's really kind of, put on a lot of muscle, lost some of that extra baby fat. And even last year, once the AF company, for the Pelicans made it known that, hey, we're not going to play Anthony Davis every game. We want to keep him healthy, so he's a huge trade target in the offseason. Jahlil Okafor ate up tons of minutes, and he was huge down the stretch. He played really well for a team that they weren't tanking, but they weren't looking to win games either. They were looking just to kind of stay steady.
Yeah, coast basically till the end of the season.
Yep.
Well, anyways, that's all, folks. I don't know if you know what I did there. From the Anthony Davis shirt.
Oh,
yeah. There you go. Yeah, yeah, that was lame. Anyways, we're gonna move on. So next one, we got the Memphis Grizzlies trade Mike Conley to Utah, and funny enough, you actually predicted this in an earlier episode. So
I did. I heard some talks about it, and I guess it came true. I like the deal. I like the deal for Memphis. I think it gets, it lets Mike Conley try and have another shot at a ring on a different side of the ball, no pun intended. And it gets them a young player in John Morant, who essentially is going to be the cornerstone of their franchise. And they got a big man in Jaren Jackson, who they got last year. And then they drafted a young guy, Gonzaga product, hometown heroes from Spokane, Brandon Clark, too. So
which steal of the draft? I got to say it. I mean,
yeah. I was really shocked he didn't go maybe 5-10 spots sooner.
The only other steals of the draft that we could really talk about is Bol if he pans out coming off that foot injury.
And Nasir Little.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, there was a lot of players that did, kind of drop down a lot in the 19 draft there. I think personally I like this trade. I think that what it does is it puts Utah basically in contention for coming out of the West.
Yeah, they basically put all their chips in, and they get rid of their draft picks, and they say, all right, we're in a win-now mode as well. And so now you have Mike Conley and Donovan Mitchell in the backcourt, which is a great defensive and offensive backcourt. And then, I believe, who's their small forward now? Ingles.
Joe Ingles, yeah.
Joe Ingles, yeah. Joe Ingles will be the small forward.
Australian stud.
Yep, and then I don't know if they're going to retain Derek Favors. You know, there's been rumors that says he opted out of his contract. So
it's actually a team option.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay.
But Utah can waive Derek Favors' contract for $16.9 million in salary or cap space is what they're going to do. They basically have until July 5th to decide on that. I think if you're Utah, you waive it, considering the number of players that have opted out of contracts, how many free agents there are. I don't think that Derek Favors is a product of, $16 million.
Yeah.
Would you pay him that much?
No, I wouldn't pay him that much. He's a good player, but I feel like if you're Utah, you're going to get to a 4. If you want a 4, you want a 4 that's dynamic, a little more quicker. Derek Favors is slotted more for the 5 spot where Gobert's at, and he's just a little more of a post player rather than being dynamic. I feel like if I was Utah, I would want someone who's a 4 who can also be switched to a 3 so they can be interchangeable too, and put maybe if there's a bigger lineup, they can put Joe Ingles at the 4 and have the big guy stretch out. So like I said, I think Utah's got a bright future, and the actual full details of this trade was that Utah traded away Jay Crowder, Kyle Korver, Grayson Allen, the number 23 pick in this year's 2019 draft, and a protected future first-round pick that will most likely shift over to Memphis in 2022. That was the full details of the whole trade.
Yeah. Shout out to you, Mike Conley, one of the greats of the Memphis Grizzlies there. I think him and Marc Gasol, they basically lead in most of the statistical categories. So
yeah, that grit and grind era was fun to watch, man. They showed a magazine cover with Mike Conley, Rudy Gay, Tony Allen, Zach Randolph, and Marc Gasol. That was the team back in the day. That was a fun defensive team to watch. And
they were a 7 seed that knocked out San Antonio as a 2 seed, if I remember.
I think you're right. Yeah. They literally would hold teams to under 90 points a game, and they wouldn't score more than like 95.
It was crazy. Yeah.
So
yeah, it's that was definitely a team. Let's move on to topic number 3 here. My Bucks ship Tony Snell to the Pistons.
I like it.
Yeah. I mean, I ended up predicting this one. You and I kind of also talked about some of those contracts that they have. They have Ilyasova, Tony Snell. They were kind of looking to maybe create some cap space just because of the free agents that they're going to have. They have Chris Middleton, who opted out of his contract. They have Brook Lopez, who they're going to try and re-sign. Am I missing anybody?
No,
I'm trying to think.
I think you got everyone.
Malcolm Brogdon?
Yes, Malcolm Brogdon.
Yeah,
yep.
Another guy that's going to want to get paid, maybe?
Yep.
So, basically, the details of the trade, Detroit receives Tony Snell and Milwaukee's number 30 pick in the 2019 draft. The 30th pick ended up being Kevin Porter Jr. out of USC. He's a shooting guard, 4-year player, you know. Maybe a little bit of a sleeper pick,
Well, he fell. He fell so far because he had those off-court troubles.
He did. Yeah.
That could have been a steal there for the Bucks. Another shooting guard that they can. It's essentially if Chris Middleton walks, they don't completely lose everything, but if not, he's essentially waiting in the wings to be groomed by the Bucks. So
yeah. Let's. Well, actually, we're gonna pause this because I can always edit this out. Intermission. Is it still recording, Joe? Is it? Ah, shit. All right. Well, I'll have to edit this out of the audio, anyways. But
yeah, that's fine. Then we can be part of it, and then I'll have to go on and read. I'll have to go and take some crap off my SD.
We'll ignore video. We'll just do an audio episode. I'll edit everything, and then I can actually insert videos with a picture or something where we're talking, and then I'll look to upload that to YouTube by no later than tonight.
Yeah, that's just weird.
Oh.
How many bits are we talking? Maybe 5, 10?
We've been talking a little bit, I think. But
okay.
15.
15. Okay. Okay. So keep going. So we're talking about Tony Snell, and
yeah, let's get back to this. So Tony Snell, the Bucks saved $4 million in salary this year, and they won't have to pay him $12 million next year in 2020-21. The Bucks received John Lure, who was actually drafted by the team in 2011. Not a super high production player. He gets 4.5 points and 3 rebounds a game. But then again, that I feel like that's also maybe a backup in case Brook Lopez walks. So.
Yeah, I feel, and if Ilyasova walks too, John Lure is just essentially another walking version of Ilyasova, another walking version of Mirotic. He's just a stretch four. You know, he could help the team, but it's basically what their MO, what they have, what they like. They like having a big guy who can stretch the floor. I don't blame them. And if you can get rid of Tony Snell, that's great because his contract is essentially dead weight anyway, and he wasn't getting any playing time.
So I'm gonna actually play this because I want to gauge your reaction just to see. But this was earlier in the seasons when the Pistons and the Bucks were playing.
I remember this.
So let's see how you think that having these two in practice.
Giannis, oh my goodness, Chandler, I know you used to play here. You don't anymore. Red Bull energy moment. Oh yeah, Giannis.
And you hear the great Jim Paschke there mentioning yet again. I know you used to play here, John Lure. Well, you might be back for us in Milwaukee, I guess. So hopefully no beef between him and Giannis. So.
Yeah, and what we were just a little audio clip of was Giannis Antetokounmpo. He dunked on John Lure, who was actually his former, no, he wasn't his former teammate. Now he's going to be his current teammate. So I mean, that's could be a little, could be a fun rivalry in practice. A little bit of I dunked on you, and you're just gonna take it.
Hopefully I can. We'll see if I could stitch that into the video if we do incorporate video for this episode. But let's go ahead get to number 4, I guess.
Yep. The Phoenix Suns traded away, to my surprise, T.J. Warren to the Indiana Pacers. I thought that was a great pickup for them. And then in essence they drafted. Who was it again? They drafted.
Well, because they got the number 32 pick, they ended up trading that to Miami. So yes, and Miami picked up KZ Okpala, small forward from Stanford, in the second round. What the Pacers pick up from the Miami Heat is 3 future second-round picks. Those details haven't been yet uncovered, and we're going to kind of have to, keep track of exactly what's going to go down there.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, what I actually found this to be a very interesting move, simply because T.J. Warren, he averages 18 points per game, and he's one of the primary focal points, maybe behind Devin Booker, for offense for that Phoenix Suns team.
Yep.
So I find it interesting that you send him to the Indiana Pacers, where you're going to have Bogdanovich potentially walking away, Oladipo's injured, and it definitely seems like they're going to continue to try to make the playoffs and continue to try to be like a 4 or 5 seed, one of the underdogs in the East there. But I don't necessarily know that I love this, simply because as I said, the Suns, that's one of your primary offensive guys, and I'm not 100%. Who did they pick up in the draft? They picked up
Ty Jerome from Virginia. I believe he was a point guard, and I think that's a great pickup for them, because this is what they've truly been lacking in the past, is a point guard who can create the offense. I just became aware today that Tyler Johnson opted into his option. I think it was somewhere along the lines of $16 to $19 million, which
is like 18.5.
And he wasn't going to get any better than that on the market, just due to his play and his recent injury history of the last couple of seasons. So I think it was a good pickup by Phoenix. Gives them a little bit of insurance at the point guard spot. And then also through that draft they picked up. You said that they sent the number 32 pick, and they acquired Darius Saric from the Sixers. They exchanged, I believe, between the 6th and 11th pick.
Yep.
Yeah, the Phoenix sent number 6 to the Sixers, and then the Sixers sent number 11 to the Suns.
Yeah, and the Suns, with the number 11 pick, they pick up Cameron Johnson,
small
forward out of North Carolina, shoots 45.7% from the three-point line, 16.9 points per game, 5.8 rebounds, 2.4 assists. He's a good player, but to be honest, I don't know that was the right pick for that number. I feel like he got drafted very high. And what they could have done, again, was if they traded for that number 11 pick from the Timberwolves, why not trade down to a team like number 14, where you can pick up, and switch with Boston, for instance? Because I feel like you could have gotten Cameron Johnson at number 14, and then maybe also picked up another pick from them, and later in the draft. Boston had a crazy number of picks this draft, so
they did. And they did a lot of swapping too.
That's kind of what I would have done. personally.
I don't disagree with it. You know, if you want to move back in the draft and acquire future assets for the 2020 or 2021 first, you know, for a first round pick or a second round pick, I get it completely. You know, people typically know who is going to be in a roundabout idea of who's going where and what players are still on the board. So, I mean, I like it. I mean, do I think they could have went with a Brandon Clark, an athletic power forward who would have essentially spelled all their differences from T.J. Warren? Absolutely. Can you imagine that lineup? And you go Tyler Johnson, Devin Booker, you can go Dario Saric, or Kelly Oubre, Brandon Clark, and DeAndre Ayton. You tell me that's not an athletic lineup that would make some noise.
You didn't mention my dude, Josh Jackson.
Oh my gosh, Mr. Arrest himself.
Yeah,
Mr. Festival.
Yeah, there you go, Festival. Yeah. Speaking of which, if you don't know that, I think that must have been like week 2 or 3 or something.
Yep.
Go ahead, look at that episode. You'll have a laugh.
Yep.
So.
Oh, what a putz.
Yeah. And then to cap off, I guess the Facts 5. We're not doing a Fast 5 since this is, you know, we're expending on this quite a bit of time on this.
Mm-hmm.
But we have a slew of players, and when I say slew, I mean there's a ton, more than I've been used to in the past. I would say
there's at least 12 to 14 solid free agents this season that could go anywhere and they would make a really good impact on a team.
A lot of teams are making cap space.
Yeah.
I mean that's also because a lot of teams, they do have that overpaid player, I feel.
Yep.
And that's just because of bad contracts and stuff. That's why you want the player option. But let's go ahead. Let's get into a couple of these guys that opted out of their contracts. Jimmy Butler.
Yep.
Yeah, he's expected to be targeted by the Houston Rockets. We already know that there's a ton of drama between Chris Paul and James Harden. It's already going on. There was a report that I think I read earlier today where it was basically saying in practice James Harden will be shooting on a half court by himself, and Chris Paul will take like one of the rookies and basically start a one-on-one game, you know, on James Harden's half of the court. You know, it's just maybe there's a lack of maturity between those two. For lack of better words, but
there was rumors that said that, you know, even video that said James Harden didn't want to be coached by Chris Paul. That Chris Paul would try and show him things, and then even, you know, James Harden even came out and said, "Hey man, I'm better than you. I can beat my guy off the dribble. I can beat him one-on-one. You can't anymore. You know, so I don't need to be taking advice from you."
Had they played in their primes, who would you take?
I feel like James Harden's in his prime right now.
I mean, that's the question too. Is he? I mean, we haven't seen too much defensively. He's improved maybe since the past couple of years.
I think Chris Paul would bust him up.
You really think so?
Chris Paul with the Clippers when he first got there, my man.
Yeah, like the years when he was ending with the Pels. Yeah.
When he first started with the Clippers, I'm telling you, I remember that guy got a 20-20 game.
Yeah,
he had no turnovers. No turnovers. The guy is very good.
If this is a fantasy team, sure, I'd take Chris Paul. But I think if this is one-on-one, James Harden's step back from that left hand just...
Chris Paul is a great defender.
Oh, my God.
Great defender.
Chris Paul's a good defender.
He's a good defender now. He was a great defender back in the day.
Okay. I may be younger than you, but I think I still know my Chris Paul.
All right, we can have different opinions.
You know, let's put it this way. James Harden never got crossed up by Steph and fell on his ass on the baseline.
This is true.
Yeah,
this is true.
You know exactly what I'm talking about. But anyways, I mean, let's go back to the point here. Jimmy Butler opted out of his contract. I don't find it shocking. I don't think he's going to sign with the 76ers.
No.
Me personally, I'd like to see him go to a team like the Nets or the Knicks, especially the Knicks. I think that they should target him. But you know, the reports are saying that the Houston Rockets are going to target him aggressively. Seems like he's going to go there. So
they're going to have to make some. In what you said, they're going to have to make some money moves, and they're going to have to make money move in a sense of what are they going to do with Chris Paul's contract? Are they going to try and extend it out for years past his actual playing career, or are they going to figure out a way to maybe trade like a Clint Capella on a deal? Maybe you let go of some of the bench players and rebuild that way. I mean, I can't see it working money wise, and then team role wise. It's a lot of ball dominant guards that want the ball, so I mean, I just can't see it. Maybe I would like to see him on the Knicks just because it's the bright lights, big city. You're getting R.J. Barrett too, a young kid who's hungry. Dennis Smith Jr. is a young guard. You said he was kind of like a Russell Westbrook type, who's athletic, not a great shooter. You know, they have Mitchell Robinson at center. They got Noah Vonleh at power forward. They're a young team, and they're they're on the up and come. They're still pretty bad, but I think they'd be a fun spot for them. The Nets, maybe, I could see it, depending if another star went there or not, or if D'Angelo Russell re-signed him next to D'Angelo with Jared Allen. That's a good formidable big three.
It's funny, the Knicks, one little thing. I don't know if you actually caught this. I saw it in a meme earlier. But Jay Billis was basically, suggesting team needs based off of the draft. And for the team needs of the Knicks, it said all positions, including starters and bench.
Yeah, I saw that. I kind of laughed.
So, I mean, that's Jimmy Butler could help, but, does he want to go there alone? Does he really want to be that guy? Maybe.
I feel like I wrote a little piece about it earlier today on our page that said, I feel like there will be a lot of teams that won't get the big star, but they're going to have to fill out their positions with a bunch of role players like your Bojan Bogdanovic, your Marcus Morris, your Darren Collison, those type of players. My Lakers especially, they're going to have to do that too. And that's fine if we get the right fit of players, and I get it. That's because we got Anthony Davis. Now, had we not got Anthony Davis, I would have expected us to go after like a Jimmy Butler or a Kyrie Irving. I still expect us to, but I would rather us go for the long-term game of we're going to get Redick, we're going to get Danny. So yeah, we've been going off the rails a couple times here, but we'll get back onto it. Anything on Jimmy Butler? Final thought on it?
Wherever he goes, there's going to be some drama.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't expect anything less from Jimmy Butler.
Yep.
Al Horford. So we'll go to the next free agent. Al Horford opted out of his contract. I believe I said this last week. And there's reports of Dallas being interested, along with the Los Angeles Lakers and maybe another team or two. And he's looking the lines to get a deal of around 4 years and $112 million. And that's quite a big paycheck for Al Horford, over $28 million a year. And he's a great center, don't get me wrong. Would I be paying him that much? Probably not. He's good, but he's early 30s.
He did opt out of 30.1 though. So
just for 1 year, yeah.
He's taking just a little bit of a paycheck hit, but I think that also it's because the Boston Celtics are a dumpster fire right now. That team's gone to it's garbage. But I don't blame him. I think that if he does go to the Dallas Mavericks, what happens with Kristaps Porzingis? Are you going to have money to pay him?
Yeah, exactly. That's a great point. And then how does he fit in the role? Because he's a center, and Kristaps Porzingis can play the center or power forward position. And then you also have Luka Doncic. There's a lot of mouths to feed in that offense. So I'd be very interested to see how he would fit. And plus they have Dwight Powell. I like Dwight Powell. He's on the up and come, and he's a center. He came out of Stanford. He turned a lot of heads last year. He was averaging, I think, like 13-6 or 13-7. Give or take. I'm not completely certain on my stats, but I remember watching him last year, and he played really well. And he's not a very well-known guy. So I don't know what Dallas will do, but if Al Horford were to go there, I'd be very interested to see how they would make him fit in the offense. I'm sure they could. It's a lot of pick and pop guys with Porzingis and Horford being able to stretch the floor, and maybe that's what Rick Carlisle wants on offense.
Yeah, this is actually interesting. I just kind of realized. The Dallas Mavericks didn't pick up anybody in the draft.
No.
So that's that's another thing. I think that clearing out that cap space was their main goal. Mm-hmm. Their main goal is going to be the free agency market, and who can they sign with players like Nikola Vucevic, Al Horford, Kristaps Porzingis.
Ooh,
yeah, there's a lot of options there. I think that whoever they do sign, they will end up getting someone. I don't think it's going to be the case where they're going to have to settle and overpay somebody and put them on a bad contract. I think that they do get somebody simply because they're a young team on the up and coming. Like you said, you have Luka Doncic. You have a couple of those guys that it's going to be an interesting fit. So
I'll segue on this one. What if this guy went to the Dallas Mavericks?
Oh, stop!
I'm telling you,
I'm not hearing
this third option. The third free agent we're going to, which I'm segueing right now, is to Chris Middleton. If that guy went onto the Dallas Mavericks, you're not telling me that they wouldn't be on the up and come.
Look,
oh my goodness.
You asked me when we started this podcast, why am I holding this back? I think this is why. Okay? It's simply because you cannot take the best mid-range shooter in the game off of the best team in the NBA. We have the best record because he's that guy. He is the second guy. Could he be the number one guy on a team? Absolutely. I think he can.
The right team.
Yes, and it actually hurt me a little bit to see him opt out of his contract. I know that he wants to get paid, there was reports of wanting a 5-year max deal with the Bucks. Do I think he's a max player? Gosh, I think and I'm going to phrase this carefully as a Bucks fan, but it's a shooting guard in a shooting guard market where we lack shooting guards that are very talented. We have James Harden, we have Klay Thompson, and we have Chris Middleton, who in my opinion may be the third best. I put him ahead of guys like Devin Booker. Okay. I think that in that type of market, maybe you do need to overpay him, for his talent, and give him a max contract just so you could guarantee yourself to have a shooting guard that's going to be able to average 22 points a game. Okay? I don't really like the thought of him leaving and going somewhere else, but do I see it? Of course. As an analyst, you have to predict that. I could see him going to the Lakers. I could see him switching over to your team. And what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I'd be interested to see if we'd pay him that much money. I think our team right now, I think we would take him. Obviously, I think LeBron would never deny that man coming to our team. But
you want a 3-and-D player.
We do want a 3-and-D. We need it desperately. We drafted Talon Horton-Tucker last night from Iowa State, but that's not going to cut it. So I think that wherever Chris Middleton goes, I think they will be extremely pleased with what they get. The guy was clutch in the playoffs, and I think he's a great defender. And I think if he were to re-sign the Bucks, I think they'd get a gem. Pairing him alongside Giannis, and they still have Eric Bledsoe. I think they have a great team. I think if he goes to another team, he gets a little less money, and he still is a great player. The doors are wide open for Chris Middleton, and he'll have plenty of suitors. I just said Dallas because we were just talking about him, and I thought about him and Luka and Kristaps, and if they had like an Al Horford type, I was like, oh man, they'd be right back in playoff contention again.
Those guys. Do you remember when the Mavs were the champs in 11?
Mm-hmm.
That team honestly is reminiscent. I mean, the team that you just put together, team's a little bit reminiscent of the champs. They're a sleeper pick because they weren't the number 1 seed, if I remember correctly.
No.
But when they got into the playoffs, they were successful because they match up well with everyone.
They beat my Lakers.
Yep.
And I believe in the first or second round they beat San Antonio, and then they beat someone else, and I can't remember who off the top of my head is, and then they beat the Heat, which is just crazy. The Heat were so dominant back then.
Right. I mean, yeah, that was them starting their slew going to the finals year after year after year.
Yep.
I mean, you remember LeBron James, not 1, not 2,
not 3, I remember him. Yeah,
not 7.
Well,
God, man, I mean,
he's
right. We didn't get to 7, but
no,
we did get to a couple.
Yeah, he got a few in there. So I mean, I'll just finish off the Chris Middleton thing. I think wherever he goes, he'll be fine. He's a great player, and you mentioned the need for being shooting guards. I think Bradley Beal. You didn't say him either, but I just read an article that the Wizards don't want to trade him. I think that's probably the smartest thing that they said, unless they got a haul back for him, a huge haul. He's so coveted in the league. The guy scores over 20 points a game easily. So
he should have been traded on draft night if they were going to trade.
Oh yeah, they could have got a huge haul in return for him and totally rebuilt that whole offense.
Imagine that number 4 pick that the Pelicans had.
Mm-hmm.
Send him Bradley Beal. Pair up.
Yeah, and then you get the 4, and then the rest of those picks. Yeah, that could have been a huge haul.
I mean, then realistically, you don't get Jackson Hayes, but
no, but they still got Rui Hachimura.
Yeah, I mean,
I liked it.
Yeah, so it's very interesting. Another guy. Let's talk about the flat earther here, Kyrie Irving.
Yeah, he's got flat feet too. I didn't know that.
Weird fact. I don't know why you would know that, but
I saw it on TV today.
Okay, man. Interesting. Keep it to yourself sometimes.
That's why he has knee problems.
Okay, cool. He's almost a guarantee for the Brooklyn Nets, though. I mean, do you see him going anywhere else? Or, because what are the reports saying, Joe?
Well, they're saying the Nets aren't sure about him. He wants to go there, but the Nets aren't sure. If he doesn't bring Kevin Durant there, they might just scrap the whole idea of going after one, if not both of them. And I could see them honestly playing out the scenario where they re-sign D'Angelo Russell to maybe a 1-year deal, wait till Kevin Durant's healthy, and then try and bring them both in, or they let D'Angelo Russell go, they bring in Kyrie Irving for 1 year, and then they tell him, hey Kevin Durant, we're going to try and trade for you in the offseason or during the season. We're going to do a sign and trade. I don't know how they would do it or who they would go to or how it would specifically work out with all the logistics, but that's just thought,
That's
Yeah, the Lakers are there.
I'm not gonna lie, that's kind of crazy that they do have options. That's the thing. I think with a guy like Karis LeVert, with a guy like Jarrett Allen, they're young. They potentially might be the best young team out there on the up and coming. Maybe like the second or third. Because you have other guys like the Dallas Mavericks. You have Utah's pretty good. They got a couple of young guys in there.
Yeah, I thought I think their playoff experience could have been a little more joyful had they not run into the buzzsaw of Joel Embiid and Simmons and all that. And I thought they played great. I think
did they get one game? Remind me.
Yes, they did. They got one.
They did.
Yeah. Yep. I think they're a young team, but on the up and coming. I think once Karis LeVert comes back, healthy, strong. They still got Joe Harris. Who else did they got there? Ed Davis.
Use that depth chart there. Tell me what their starting five is going to look like here.
So you want to know the Brooklyn Nets starting five?
Yeah, because
I can give you my opinion on what I think their starting five could be.
Okay.
So I like it. Okay, so they got D'Angelo Russell, give or take on his contract situation.
Okay.
If not, next in line would be Spencer Dinwiddie, which would be a perfect. He's fine. He would slot in there just fine. Karis LeVert at the shooting guard. Taurean Prince, who they traded for about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago for Alan Crabb. I thought the deal was good. Then they have, oh my goodness gracious, they're going to let Rondé Hollis-Jefferson walk, and they have, you can correct me.
Rodion's Caruks.
Thank you, Rodion's Caruks. There, he's a stretch guy. He's pretty athletic. A little 3-and-D. I don't mind it. I'd have to watch him a little bit more. And then they got Jared Allen. And then they drafted Nick Claxton last night because Alan Williams isn't there on the team anymore, and Ed Davis, they could let him walk if they don't want to pay him. So essentially, it could just be Jared Allen and Nick Claxton. They're giving a little center depth. So I think the team will be fine.
We also have Canan Musa.
Canan Musa, your boy.
Of course, the Bosnian underdog is what we call him.
Yeah.
I don't even know him, to be honest. I just like shouting out my countrymen. Which, that's kind of what happened on the Sacramento Kings drafting the last guy, Vanjan Marinkovic. Vlade shouting out his countrymen, I guess, from Serbia. So, yep. But whatever. Let's go ahead talk about another guy. Speaking of the Sacramento Kings, there, that was a great segue. Harrison Barnes declining $25.1 million. That's crazy. I think that was more than a lot of guys. That was more than like Jimmy Butler, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I don't know why. I think Harrison Barnes is a good player. I think he's a good player for a team if he's the third option or even the second option. This guy's trying to be maybe the first option on a team, and that's just not his role. I remember when he was on the Golden State Warriors and they lost that finals to the Cleveland Cavaliers because he shot horribly from the three-point line. And the rest of the team was fine. And the Golden State Warriors were like, yo, we got to get rid of this dude. Because he's like, he said, I want close to triple figures. I want 80, 90 million.
That's exactly how that meeting went, too. They just said, nah, dog.
They're like, that's a no from me, dog.
Yeah, Randy Jackson was in there. He said, nah.
I completely agree. Why would you pay him that much money? He's good, but I think he's overselling himself a little bit. And you're declining $25.1 million. That's a lot of cheese, man.
I'm just trying to think now, because there's a couple places where he could end up. He could end up with the Denver Nuggets, could end up with the Chicago Bulls.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of maybe other teams just off the back of my head. What about a team like the Clippers? The Clippers have money to offer. They have a really, really young backcourt in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Landry Shamet.
Yeah,
but do you want a guy like Harrison Barnes coming in? Maybe taking over a little, letting Lou Will run the point guard instead of the shooting guard?
I don't mind it. That's a good thought. Or the Washington Wizards. They've sorely lacked depth since Trevor Ariza and Kelly Oubre. You put them at the 3. You have Bobby Portis at the 4. You have Thomas Bryant at the 5. Dwight Howard. His injuries, his career is pretty much on the done.
Who?
Dwight Howard.
I don't even know that guy.
Oh my God.
He's been so irrelevant for so long that.
Yeah, Harrison Barnes, like I said, he has options to wherever he goes, and he's probably going to want to start. I have a feeling, I won't call it this way, but I have a feeling if he doesn't change the way he starts playing and thinking, he could end up like a Carmelo Anthony. Not as good, not as prevalent as a scorer, but that's just my thought. I just thought of that right now.
So this is another report. I don't even know if I should really be bringing this in. Nando De Colo wants to make a comeback.
Yep. Never heard that.
I don't know. Yeah, exactly. I never thought we'd be mentioning that on the pod. But does he come back or does Carmelo come back? Who's more likely to come back at this point? Because I think the mentality is completely wrong for Carmelo. And I honestly, I see that comparison with Harrison Barnes as well. I think that mentality that he has of wanting to be the number one option, I think that, there's no way.
No. I think, if he slides into like a 3 role, like the 3rd option on the team, he'd be fine. Like if he takes that. I think he has options. It just depends on if he sucks up his pride.
Yeah. Let's go over to one of the former Lakers here. Yeah. One of the other guys opting out, Julius Randle.
Honestly, I think that guy has grown and improved ever since we let go of him, and I was sad to see us let him go, but I knew it had to be done because we wanted money that just we weren't willing to pay for him, and now it's getting to the point where he's become so good. You said he was averaging over 24 points a game.
24.1, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah, and just under 10 rebounds a game. The guy is really good, and he started developing his body more and more. And now I remember seeing some pictures of him a year or two ago, and he was just ripped. He got really in good shape, lost a lot of the body fat. That when he was at Kentucky, he's really made himself into a good NBA player. And I would love it, if the Lakers got him, or I guess if the Knicks got him, or someone, or you said you want to back up for the 76ers in case Tobias Harris walks.
There's a ton of reports. I mean, this guy, declines a $9 million contract. He's definitely a cheap player. He's going to want to get paid more than $9 million. I understand it, but then again, it's also the fact of, are a lot of teams going to be gunning for him, because he's kind of an undersized center. There's a lot of centers in the free agency market. Regardless of where he will be going, he's going to be a help to whatever team he does decide to go to. Expect those numbers to diminish quite a bit, though. I don't think that he's going to be averaging 24 points a game. The reason that was kind of the case in New Orleans there, kind of the last year, was because they were reserving Anthony Davis from getting injured. So
yep. I think I was just thinking about it. If they put him on someone like the 76ers, I couldn't imagine him and Embiid. Have fun dealing with those big boys on the block. I mean, there's a lot of teams that could use him.
Brooklyn Nets, think about that. Ooh. Second string behind Jared Allen, kind of the same deal.
You put them in there. You start him over Rodion for Rooks. You get a lineup of like Russell, Karis LeVert, Terrain Franks, Julius Randle, and Jared Allen. That's a formidable five.
That would not be bad. I actually like that.
Or you put him on the Boston Celtics.
Now that Al Horford's gone, I mean, you're going to need somebody protecting the paint.
Can you imagine that lineup if they sign Capella through a signing trade and get Julius Randle? You go Terry Rozier, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Julius Randle, and Clint Capella.
How about Gordon Hayward?
Comes off the bench still.
Wow, that's crazy. You remember that blog poster sign-in? I mean, everybody wanted Gordon Hayward, and now this guy's a bench player. Really unfortunate just because of the injury, I feel, but it's not a bad bench player. He would be 6th man of the year in my book any day.
Yeah, he could. Honestly, he could start for half the teams in the league, but it's just the situation he ended up on. Boston isn't going to get rid of his contract. I think he still has like 2 or 3 years left with like $64 to $90 million left, so no team can take that on.
Yeah, he's getting money. I mean, it's hard to move a lot of these guys that get paid that way. For instance, Chris Paul, there's no way that anybody's going to want to pick up his contract. The guy's getting paid $30+ million a year. He's getting paid more than James Harden, and he's not even the star of the team. Yeah, honestly, like I said, I think wherever, I'll cap it off with saying this, and I'll let you get some final thoughts in. Wherever these free agents go, and this is just about maybe close to half of them, it will shake up the NBA. Like I said, there's some other free agents out there, Tobias Harris, Nikola Vucevic, Marcus Morris, etc., etc. Wherever these guys go, they will be very key role players, if not huge contributors to their team, whether they're a 6th man on the bench, and most of these guys will start for the team, not 85 to 90% of them. So that's just my thoughts, and I will be very excited. Once free agency starts, June 30th, 3 p.m. our time, I am really excited to see where people go. You bet your bottom dollar we're going to be reporting nearly daily, I feel. Yep. Yeah. Anyways, that's going to cap off the Fact 5. We don't really have too much time here to touch on the NBA draft. We might have to save that for like a midweek episode or something, but maybe let's just go through some notable picks here and then maybe read out some of their stats or position-wise, how they fit into the team. Yeah, start it off. So number 1, of course, we knew Zion Williamson. plays the forward position, going to the Pelicans. He's a generational player. One thing I didn't like, this came out in a recent report, but oh man, remind me who's the guy leading the operations here? David Griffin.
Yep.
Yes, I don't know why I just spaced on that. David Griffin just said that it's not Zion's team. He said that this is Drew Holiday's team. I don't know necessarily that I like that.
I mean, Drew Holiday, I can get behind it because he's been the staple. He's been there through like a lot of these tough times.
But if it was his team, they would have been making the playoffs.
This is true. I feel like they were really there for him, though. Side note, his wife went through like a huge, I think she had a brain tumor.
Oh,
and she played on the U.S. women's national team for soccer. And I remember they were like there for him throughout that whole thing, and they let him like to have time away from the team. And I remember that, so I could see why. Since Anthony Davis isn't there, you're not going to put the young guy there. You know, Drew Holiday's been there, been through it all, through the rough times. I think they're going to say, you know what, man, we're letting you take over.
Yeah.
He's a great shooting guard, and I think people sleep on him. Honestly, he's so good.
Drew Holiday is pretty good. But you know, that was the #1 pick. We all knew Zion was going there. #2 pick, I feel like we all knew John Morant going to the Memphis Grizzlies, point guard out of Murray State. Got a triple-double in the NCAA tournament. One thing that I didn't like, though, 5.2 turnovers a game.
Yep,
that's going to be costly. You know, we got to watch that. Got to be careful of that.
Yep.
But I definitely think, you know, it reminds me a lot of like a crossbreed between Damian Lillard and a Russell Westbrook. Almost, where he comes from an underdog school and he's going to have that potential like Damian Lillard.
Chip on his shoulder.
Yes, and on top of that, he's going to get the stats that Russell Westbrook puts up. The only thing that we got to watch out is the shot selection. Is he going to be able to still score 20 a game his rookie year?
Yeah, I feel like with, you know, being balanced and integrated into the offense, he's not going to get that. I feel like he'll get about 15 a game.
Potentially.
That would be my thought.
Number 3, we're just going to fast fire through these a little quicker. R.J. Barrett going to the New York Knicks. New York Knicks love this pick. I mean, you know, had he not been in the draft with Williamson and Morant, I feel like this guy would have gone #1 any day.
Yep.
So, #4, Atlanta trades into the #4 pick from the Pelicans, who acquired it from the Lakers. They get DeAndre Hunter, small forward / power forward. Maybe traded a little bit too high up. I don't know. You know, they could have gotten him as the 5th pick, but you know, regardless, interesting pick. Then we'll go 5, 6, 7. You got Darius Garland, point guard, going to the Cavs. Jarrett Culver, shooting guard, going to the Timberwolves, and then Kobe White, point guard, going to the Bulls. You like those?
Yeah, hit on that Garland point. That John Beeline says he wants him and Colin Sexton to be the sort of East Coast version of Damian Lillard and C.J. McCollum. Now, even Adrian Wojnarowski came out and said yesterday, said that's just going to take years and years and years to get to that point. But I like it. I can get on board with it. And, you know, I feel like if they maybe trade away some of these older pieces like Kevin Love and some of these other guys and bring in some, you know, younger new guys, that team could really make a rise very quickly. So, I mean, I like it. Jarrett Culver, I get it. They need guards. They could almost even slot him into the point guard spot, or, you know, given if Jeff Teague's released, I think it would be Tyus Jones, and then you put him, Culver, at the shooting guard, then go Andrew Wiggins, etc. And then you saw Kobe White, how hyped he was for his teammate last night, you know, Cameron Johnson. So I like those picks.
Number 11. He thought that, you know, Cameron Johnson deserved to go higher. I disagree. I think Cameron Johnson could have gone a little lower.
Yep.
You know, let's just kind of pop around, I guess. New Orleans, Jackson Hayes, you know, great center. Like I said, that front court between him and Zion, that's going to be great. Washington Wizards picking up our stud, hometown hero, Rui Hachimura.
Yeah, I like it. I think that's a good pickup for them. They already have Bobby Portis, so I feel like they could maybe even slide Portis to the center if they're going to go small ball lineups and put him at Rui Hachimura at the 3 or 4. So, I mean, that's really good. No surprise that the Atlanta Hawks didn't target Cam Reddish, you know. I honestly think, in my personal opinion, he'll be a bench player. He could get maybe 15 minutes a game to start off, unless he shows everyone something spectacular and pulls something out of his butt that we don't know what's coming.
Yeah. And then these are maybe we're kind of getting into some of the sleeper picks for guys that could potentially have really great careers, could be all-stars.
Yep.
At number 15, the Detroit Pistons drafted Sekou Doumbouya. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. Power forward out of France. Only played 19 minutes a game, 7.8 points per game, 3.3 rebounds, and 0.7 assists. Not crazy stats. I mean, there's you know, significantly a drop off. Excuse me.
But, that is kind of one of those picks that reminds me of another guy that we saw go number 15, the 2013 draft, Giannis Antetokounmpo.
I would slow your roll, and I would tread careful on how you're going to say this.
I'm not saying that they're going to be the same player.
I get
but
it.
what I am saying is that they do have a similar body type. They do have a similar background playing internationally, and they do definitely. I mean, he's coming in as a very young prospect, 18, 19 years old, and he's going to have a couple of years before he really shines into who he's going to be. But I think that that's a great pickup. The only thing that I question about that is that they have Blake Griffin playing the power forward. So how many minutes are you going to really give this guy?
Exactly, maybe 10. If he's the backup behind Griffin, maybe 10. But then they have other players too, so maybe 5. They're really up.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I'll go to number 16. I really like this one, Chuma Okeke from Auburn. Going to the Orlando Magic. They are already slewed with a bunch of forwards: Aaron Gordon, Kem Birch, etc. I think he's a developmental project, and I feel like he could really be a key cog to that offense for the future. I feel like he dropped, a little bit past the first round. He could have been even closer to 10 or 11.
He was projected top 5 early on.
That's a little high for myself, but I mean watching him play.
Yeah, watching him play, I think that definitely another guy, like we're saying, he's a sleeper pick. Don't sleep on him. He fills up the stat sheet. He can get you all 5 statistical categories: blocks, steals, rebounds, assists, points. He does it all. He's a man of many talents. So just hopefully coming back from that what is it, foot injury, leg injury?
Torn ACL.
Yeah, I think so.
Yep.
So hopefully has a good rehab. Orlando Magic has some good medical staff. So. Dropping down, number 18, Goga Bitadze. Oh my God, I know I am butchering these, but that's another guy, very defensive, 2.3 blocks a game, coming out of the country of Georgia.
Big man.
Zaza Pachulia, one of his mentors. And you remember, honestly, the photo. Everyone has seen it. It's been shouted out by Dwayne Wade, Draymond Green. But everyone was interviewing Zion Williamson, and this man was right next to him, wondering, hey, where's my credibility? I was ranked to be a good player here.
Yeah, you saw the comments with D Wade and Draymond Green. They basically said, don't worry about it. Like your time will come. Like don't worry about it. It's just paparazzi, etc. I think he could have a good spot there. They have some question marks. I'll be interested to see how he slots in there since they already have Miles Turner. What are they going to do with him? Are they going to trade him in a package deal?
Miles Turner's been soft. Time to go. Time to move on.
Okay, but then what do you do with Domantas Sabonis? You slot him in?
Slide him at the power forward.
Okay, yeah. I get it. I mean, they could be a little bit slower. They're going to be a slower paced team if you got Goga Bitadze out there, running the center spot.
It'll be the grit and grind Pacers.
Oh boy.
Yep.
Okay. All right. That's fine with me. We'll slide it down to number 19 real quick. Luka Samanic from Croatia, and I think this is a typical San Antonio Spurs pick. A European project. I don't know. Like you were saying, they could store him overseas, or they could bring him here. I feel like he could learn under the tutelage of Davis Bertans. It's not shocking to me.
LaMarcus Aldridge.
I feel like he's going to be a pick and pop player, hitting those threes, getting in there about maybe 10 minutes a game, 15 tops. I mean, that's just my thoughts.
Yeah. Number 25, Portland Trailblazers, picking up Nasir Little. Correct. This man dropped quite a bit. I mean, he was projected as a top 15 round, pick. Small forward, averaged 9.8 points per game, 4.6 rebounds, 0.7 assists. And the interesting stat, get this, he was a bench player at North Carolina.
I didn't know that. I thought he started.
No, he actually came off behind Cameron Johnson, who's the starting small forward. Really good three-point shooter, potentially the best three-point shooter in the draft. But I think that Nasir Little, he's definitely one of those guys that we got to watch out for. Going to have a chip on his shoulder, and he's going to come out swinging for the fences.
Yeah, I like it. Everyone in the draft said that he was a steal. And they were saying basically that it's true. Damian Lillard and C.J. McCollum need another playmaker, and they said Nasir Little is that. So I like it. He's a 3-and-D wing. This helps take some of the pressure off them. Hopefully they re-sign Rodney Hood to a deal. I would like to see that. And maybe Nasir Little plays the 4, or they have Rodney Hood play the 4, and then you have Nurkic at the 5. I would really like to see that team out there. It's a young team. They have all people that can get the ball and score. Yeah.
So I'm going to ask the question here. Do you have anybody else in the first round that you want to talk about?
Yeah, I'll go to one more person. I'll go to we'll just go this one. Jordan Poole, Golden State Warriors.
Yeah.
Yep.
Maybe just. My
Quick
comment
hitter.
would be, he's insurance in case Clay walks.
That was my exact thoughts. Yep.
Yeah.
He's a good kid. He's just a developmental project. I feel like in case Clay walks, I feel like during the season, Quinn Cook will start in Clay's spot, just because of he's been there, he knows the system. But I mean, that was who I got for the first round. I'm like, oh, we totally forgot one that I really wanted to do.
Kevin Porter?
No, Grant Williams, Boston. In case Marcus Morris walks.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
That's an
you
interesting
skipped
one.
over that one, and I forgot about that guy. Yeah, he averaged a high field goal percentage at Tennessee, 56.4%. They said he really changed his body in the whole time that he was there. And I remember him in the tournament. He played really well alongside Jordan Bone and Admiral Schofield. So I think he could be I think he could be like a Marcus Morris type.
He's a hard worker.
Slot in there and replace him. Yeah.
Hard worker. I think. Hopefully Boston's the right system. They really got to figure out what's going on depending on free agency.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to jump kind of further down into the second round. Hopefully I'm not skipping anybody that you want to talk about there. Pick number 39, the Golden State Warriors acquire Alen Smailagic, who's a center from Serbia. Same thing. I think that's your insurance in case DeMarcus Cousins walks and you cannot sign a center in the free agency period.
Yeah, I was talking to my barber, David. Shout out, David, if you listen. I'm mentioning you right now, buddy. I was talking to my barber, David, about it, and I couldn't remember his name, but Alen Smailagic from Serbia. I'm very interested to see what he does, if he's a pick and pop player, if they want to get him on the block. You know, Golden State's been I know the trend has been they've drafted big men, power forwards, small forwards, last few years to get some of that depth in there. So I could be very interested to see if they put him on the bench and they let him develop slowly but surely. Yeah, and he's a foreign player too. I mean, they don't really go for foreign players.
Yeah,
in my recent experience.
Not typically. Number 44, coming from a very foreign bad.
Yep.
No.
Yeah.
We got Bull.
Did you see him signing Bulls?
I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, I
love it.
I was laughing. I was like, why are they giving him Bulls? And I was like, oh.
Yeah.
And I was like, dumb question.
Yeah. I'm just gonna say this. I love it. I feel like who did I compare him to? I said that over social media.
McCurr.
Yes, he's like Thon McCurr, what Thon McCurr was supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
But then on top of that, I also feel like he's gonna have that grit and grind of Joel Embiid, and he's gonna be a troll on social media. I mean, this guy, he was supposed to go in the first round, Joe. I think that falling to number 44, he's gonna have a vendetta.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
he initially he thought he was going to the Miami Heat.
Mm-hmm.
They trade that to the Denver Nuggets. It's almost like nobody wanted this guy.
Well, it's a huge red flag when you get a foot injury after 9 games. He's a very tall player. You know, he doesn't have a lot of weight on him either. He looks just like his father, Manu Bull.
But I mean, 21 points a game, 9.6 rebounds, 2.7 blocks.
He's a project.
You're playing for a team you're playing for Oregon, for crying out loud. That's they don't necessarily have the toughest conference, but putting up those type of stats, this guy was way overlooked in my opinion.
Yeah, and the Denver Nuggets got a steal here. That's a huge pick, and you can. Oh my! I'm gonna have so much fun watching him develop if they really develop him behind Yusuf Nurkic. Or not Yusuf Nurkic, Nikola Jokic. Oh my gosh, because they play essentially the same.
Yeah, I mean, this is my point to make. This is how overlooked he was. 7 picks prior, number 37. You said that he looks a little like me. Davidas Servidas, small forward from Lithuania. He's a putz, man. I mean, this guy's probably never going to see the NBA floor.
Yep, I honestly had no idea who that was.
Like what? Yeah, I mean, Bull. If you're going to draft somebody, as the Detroit Pistons, hell, you could have drafted Bull. You know that he's a project, but whatever.
I'll hit on one that you didn't hit on real quick. Carson Edwards, Boston Celtics. I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I was talking to you about it last night, that he is really a scorer, and they could really use that punch off the bench. And can you imagine him slotting in behind Terry Rozier? That'd be a fun one to watch.
Well, I mean, you remember the NCAA tourney where this man had 28 3-point field goals.
Yeah, it was the most in tournament history.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's I don't necessarily remember his shooting percentage, but I know that he is a shooter. He can put up points in a hurry. So
I know. I thought he was very small. He's 6'1". You were telling me that yesterday.
Yeah, 6 foot.
I thought he was like 5'8".
Yeah.
He'll be very small on the court. He can just get it. He can just get it and go.
Quick. He's got to maybe add a little bit of weight, add a little bit of muscle. But the NBA does that to players. I'm not worried about it. I think that number 33. That's a good pickup for him.
Right.
Trying to think if there's anyone else. We had how about this guy, Kyle Guy, New York Knicks.
I was just gonna say that. Yeah, Kyle Guy. I mean, depth. I think he slots in there. I think he takes over for Ntilikina. Ntilikina, whatever his name is.
God, you hate him.
A
little bit.
Yeah, I just can't stand it. I like it though. He could be a. I hope he isn't a Ron Baker type where he just fizzles out.
Hopefully not.
Yeah, but he can.
He's the tournament's most outstanding player. He was just on a great team. I feel like I don't necessarily think he's a great player. I think he's a good player. To make the NBA, you definitely have to have talent. So not trying to knock the guy too much, but I think potentially might not see the court, but hopefully it's a different story. So
yeah, I'll hit on one more, and then you can get on another one if you find another one.
Yep.
Jordan Bone to the Detroit Pistons. I like it. They sorely lack a point guard that can really create for himself.
Yeah, that was late.
Reggie Jackson has been so injury prone, and I like the fact that they've had Ish Smith the last few years, but I don't know, man. I think it's a good pickup for them. They're rebuilding. They have Blake Griffin. They have DeAndre Jordan. So they're going to slot him in there at some point. I feel like he could back up Ish Smith, or he could be a third string if Reggie Jackson is the starting guard. I like it. 35.5% from three. He played very well in the tournament, and he's super athletic.
Well, so how about this one? I'm going to talk about, because you told me I could mention maybe one more.
Okay.
Players that weren't drafted. There was a lot that I was expecting to see. Jalen McHugh, Taco Fall. I'm trying to think if they're Naz Reid. There was a couple there, and a lot of these guys. What we're seeing now is that
two-way contracts.
Yeah, 2-way contracts, 10-day contracts. Taco Fall, love him. He's getting a 10-day contract with the Boston Celtics.
Yep. They call it Exhibit A or Exhibit B contract?
Something like that, yeah.
Zach Norvell, Gonzaga. I wonder why the Lakers love the Gonzaga products. He's getting a G League tryout with them. So I saw that today, and I'm very interested to see that how that goes.
Hit him up. If you're ever back in Spokane, we'd love to have you on the podcast.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I'll spread the word up there.
It also goes for Rui Hachimura and Brandon Clark.
Please.
Yes.
Please.
If anyone knows them personally, send them our way.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think to end this off, then I'm gonna. You mind if I throw a joke out there?
Go for it.
Guess what Taco Fall's brother's name is?
What?
Burrito Stand.
Oh,
come on, that was fair. No? You know where I really thought Taco Fall should have gone? I thought that he should have gone to the Golden State Warriors. So you could have Taco Fall and Jordan Bell, a.k.a. Taco Bell.
Oh my gosh, the ramifications of what you just said.
Should I stop?
No, but I think we should get a we should get a sponsorship from Taco Bell.
If that happened, I would be down.
If you're listening,
I doubt it.
Please sponsor us. I'll put the name.
Give us the $5 taco box.
That's all we want.
Yeah, I'm hungry now. I think we got to cap this off. We're going to go get some food, guys. Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of Both Sides of the Ball. I'm your co-host, DeBoer.
I am Joe, and hopefully next week, if I'm not such a putz and I can figure out the whole SD card and my camera, I can get it unloaded and take some of the stuff off, and we'll get you guys some video. I got about 15 minutes of video, and then it just kaput it on me, and I feel like a schlub for it, so.
It's okay. We'll just put it in a black screen or something.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm even going to edit this out.
Whatever. Just edit some of it out because we sound like a bunch of goons.
Yeah. Oh, well, guys. Yeah, thank you so much for listening. We're signing off. See you guys next week.
All right, guys. Later.